A girl should not expect special privileges because of her sex, but neither should she adjust to prejudice and discrimination. By Betty Friedman. This presentation is The Women Liberation and the Feminist Mystique by Keisha Renard, AMH 2020. Friedman Betty was the author of The Feminist Mystique, which was written in 1963, and it inspired women to fulfill untraditional roles. She was also president and co-founder of the National Organization for Women, which fought for equality in the workplace when it came to employment and also wages. And this was also enforcing the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And the book being about herself and her discontent, and felt many could relate, seen as the problem with no name, which is commonly referred to, and would also be seen in the video. And before this book, it was an article, and many magazines did not want to publish it because it was a threat to women's role in society at the time. And Friedman only saw that the book was just a step to advocating women's equality, and she felt like she had to do more. And in the video, we will see Friedman's effect or impact on politics and culture.
From the questionnaire, Betty Friedan wrote an article that was women's magazines. She had never had an article turned down, and she quickly realized that her writing was threatening to the culture of American women. This was what led to the creation of the idea of the feminine mystique. Betty realized that she had to write a book because no magazine would let her publish her findings. When the feminine mystique came out, it brought forth a problem with no name. More specifically, women were dissatisfied with their limited lives and their limited role in society.
Look at this mess. The way he throws his clothes around. It wouldn't hurt His Highness a little interest in the house. He can act as if he were single. He wouldn't dream of wearing a wedding ring, no matter how much I tell him I like it. But I'm as good as he is. I've got a brain of my own, and I intend to make the most of my life, too. Yes, I want a home and kids. But I'm not going to be a fool like Mother, bending over a wash tub all her life while Dad went around as free as air. A woman's place is in the home. Why, His Highness ought to wear side whiskers and carry a gold-headed cane. If he thinks I'm going to obey his every command, he can get right out of my life. And I mean it, right out of my life.
Betty loved her kids, her house, and many parts of her American lifestyle. These were sacrificed for the second wave of feminism. Her children were martyred.
Back to the presentation, seeing the significance in the book itself. The only way for a woman, as for a man, to find herself, to know herself as a person, is by creative work of her own. Betty Friedman. Most popularly and commonly known to bring about the second wave of feminism, but it also opened the eyes of women who had a job in World War II and who had to go back to domestic affairs within the house or desk jobs because the men were back from war. And they saw how capable they were of maintaining the job just as well as men, and possibly even better. And this, along with the civil rights movement, had a strong foothold or role in society and the government, and other topics including rape and domestic violence, abortion, and access to childcare, and later on establishing rape crisis hotline and legalizing abortion. Recapture the past. Common importance would be the second wave, but it also showed that women could be career women and maintain a career that was different from what they traditionally would do during the time. This also evolved the roles in terms of gender, marriages, and socially within society. And other versions of entertainment, such as movies and theaters and shows and books, carried this similar concept of hers about equality and recognition to the events that were happening in that time was to end discrimination and increase equality, which would be the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was a major event, establishing the Commission on Equal Employment Opportunities, gay rights movement, and personally she thanked or gave recognition to previous feminists from the first wave who fought for women's suffrage, which will be seen in this upcoming YouTube link.
Mystique at all, if not for the work earlier American feminists had done to further women's rights. She acknowledges these women in the feminine mystique as a way of thanking them and illustrating what women are capable of. For increasing women's educational opportunities, Friedan recognized Mary Lyon, who founded the first women's college in 1837, Mount Holyoke Female Seminary, now Mount Holyoke College. This will be an era in female education, Lyon predicted. The work will not stop with this institution. Friedan also wrote her appreciation of the women who fought for women's suffrage, such as the organizers of the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, as well as Mount Holyoke graduate Lucy Stone, who is often credited as the first woman to assemble a national women's rights convention.
Back to the presentation, which would be those who disagreed with the book itself or the author. Which would one of them being Bell Hooks, who accused the book and the author of being racist, classist, and homophobic, which was partially true from what we do know. She was not open to homosexuality, especially being on the same political platform of women equality. And the book was specifically aimed towards white middle class women, white middle class educated women. And Friedan was said to be a simple housewife, which going to college she did have political knowledge of the government. And the topics in her book were similar ideas from other authors, such as topics of sexuality, gender, and domestic work. And above all, I guess the more important part was that other housewives did not agree to their job or themselves as being inferior or them not being content. It could not be applied to every housewife. The sources, and that's it.